There's something quietly magnetic about a man who knows how to speak to a woman's soul without sounding rehearsed. It's not about the words themselves, but the way they make her feel. Most men shower compliments that fade as soon as they're spoken. Generic, surface, level, predictable. But when a man chooses his words with sincerity and depth, he doesn't just flatter her, he moves her. There's a certain power in recognizing a woman's emotional intelligence. The way she navigates chaos with grace, the way she carries herself when things don't go her way. It's not about grand words or rehearsed charm. It's about seeing the subtle strength behind her calm exterior. When you tell her, "I really admire how you stay centered, even when things get complicated," you're not giving a compliment to please her. You're acknowledging something she's built over time, something that cost her effort, heartbreak, and growth. And that's the kind of compliment that doesn't just touch her ears, it settles in her heart. You see, every woman has moments when she doubts herself, when she questions if she's doing enough, being enough, holding everything together well enough. And most people only notice her when she's shining, and never when she's quietly enduring. But when you acknowledge her emotional strength, when you notice how she handles life with dignity, she feels seen in a way few people ever make her feel. It's not the kind of validation she chases. It's the kind she deserves, but rarely gets. That's why it stays with her. When you say, I love how you keep your composure when others would lose it. Or, it's impressive how you handle difficult people without losing your peace. You give her something deeper than a compliment. You give her recognition. You tell her that her calm isn't taken for granted, that her softness isn't weakness, and that her patience doesn't go unnoticed. It's a reflection of maturity, self-awareness, and empathy, all qualities that make her magnetic. And the beauty of this kind of compliment lies in its honesty. It's not designed to impress. It's designed to connect. You're not praising her to get something in return. You're simply mirroring back what you genuinely see. And when a woman feels that sincerity, her guard lowers. She feels safe in your presence because your words carry weight. They come from observation, not performance. Women fall for men who make them feel emotionally understood. When your compliment speaks to her strength, not her appearance, she starts to associate you with stability and respect. She feels that you value her essence, not just her image. And that's where attraction deepens. Because physical beauty fades into memory, but the feeling of being truly seen, especially for her emotional strength, stays forever. There's something undeniably powerful about recognizing a woman's individuality, the small, intricate details that make her who she is. Every woman has her own rhythm, her own way of thinking, laughing, moving, and expressing herself. Yet so many people overlook that uniqueness, settling for shallow compliments that sound recycled. When you tell her, "I've never met anyone who sees the world quite like you do," it's not just a sweet line, it's a moment of truth. You're acknowledging that she's not like anyone else, and that makes her feel irreplaceable. Every woman wants to feel that she's more than just another pretty face or another good conversation. She wants to feel like her presence brings something distinctive, something that can't be compared or replicated. When you notice the little things that make her different, the way she tilts her head when she's thinking, the spark in her eyes when she talks about something she loves, the way she has her own take on things, you're giving her something deeper than praise. You're showing her that you see her individuality, not just her appearance. When you say something like, "Woof, you have a really refreshing way of looking at things," or "I like how you never follow what everyone else does," you're affirming her sense of identity. You're telling her she's memorable, not because she's trying to be, but because she is. That simple recognition builds emotional gravity. She starts to feel drawn to you because your attention feels personal. It's not the kind that scans a room and flatters whoever's in it. It's selective, intentional, and specific to her. Complimenting a woman's uniqueness isn't about inflating her ego. It's about affirming her authenticity. It says, "I value who you are when no one's watching." That's rare. In a world where so many people try to blend in or meet expectations. And being appreciated for standing out feels intoxicating. And when that appreciation comes from someone genuine, it creates an emotional small spark she can't ignore. Women fall for men who notice what others miss. The details, the contradictions, the quiet moments that make her human. Those are the things that make her unforgettable. When you highlight her individuality, you remind her that she doesn't need to compete or compare. She just needs to be. And in that simplicity, connection grows naturally, without effort, without force. Just a deep understanding that she's seen exactly as she is. There's a subtle charm in the kind of attention that feels genuine, when your words come from actually observing her, not from trying to impress. Women can sense the difference almost instantly. When you say something like, "If I noticed how you always listen fully before you speak," it tells her that you're not just watching, you're paying attention, and that's rare. In a world full of noise, being truly seen and understood feels like a luxury. That's why a compliment born out of genuine observation carries more weight than 100 generic ones. Every woman has layers to her, things she doesn't always show, habits she doesn't even realize she has. When you take the time to notice them and speak about them sincerely, she feels a connection that isn't based on charm, but on presence. She starts to recognize that you see her, in ways others don't. You pick up on the way she tucks her hair behind her ear when she's deep in thought, the quiet confidence in her tone when she talks about something she believes in, or the softness in her smile when she feels safe. Those details may seem small, but to her, they mean everything. When you tell her, I like the way you light up when you talk about something you love, you're not just complimenting her enthusiasm. You're validating her passion. You're saying, I see what moves you. That's a kind of acknowledgement that makes her feel emotionally close, even if you've just met. Because people crave to be noticed beyond the obvious, beyond what anyone can see at first glance. Genuine observation shows depth. It shows that you're not simply waiting for your turn to speak. You're actually taking in who she is. And when a woman realizes that you notice the subtleties about her without making it seem calculated, it draws her in. She feels safe around that energy because it doesn't feel like you're trying to win her. It feels like you're understanding her. Women fall for connection that feels real when your compliments are rooted in presence, when they come from noticing the essence of who she is rather than what she shows the world. She feels that authenticity, and it's not something she can resist because it's not about words. It's about the rare experience of being truly seen. There's a delicate art in expressing admiration without crossing into flattery. Women can feel when a compliment is meant to impress rather than to appreciate. And that difference changes everything. When you tell her, there's something effortlessly graceful about the way you move through a room. You're not objectifying her. You're admiring her presence. It's not about her body. It's about her aura. And that distinction matters more than most men realize. Because when admiration is rooted in respect, it feels genuine, not manipulative. Women have been complimented on their looks countless times, to the point where those words lose meaning. But when you highlight something that reflects her essence rather than her appearance, it catches her off guard. When you say, you have a really comforting energy, or you make the space around you feel warm, it doesn't just touch her ego, it touches her soul. Those are the kinds of compliments that don't fade quickly, because they aren't about perfection. They're about presence. Admiration becomes powerful when it's subtle. You're not putting her on a pedestal or making her uncomfortable. You're simply acknowledging the beauty of who she is without turning it into an expectation. When you say, there's something about your confidence. It's calm, not loud. And I like that. You're appreciating her self-assurance without turning it into an object of desire. It's sincere, measured, and meaningful. That's what makes her take notice. The best compliments are the ones that allow her to feel valued, not evaluated. When you admire a woman for qualities that go beyond the physical. Her composure, her curiosity, her humor. You make her feel safe in your attention. She doesn't feel watched. She feels appreciated. That emotional safety creates a deeper attraction because it tells her she can be herself around you without needing to perform or perfect anything. Women fall for the kind of admiration that feels clean, grounded, and real. The kind that says, I see your beauty, but I also see your strength. It's a quiet compliment, not meant to impress anyone but her. And because it's spoken with genuine intention, it lingers. She'll remember how your words made her feel respected, not exposed. Because admiration, when it's sincere and unforced, doesn't chase her. It draws her in effortlessly. There's a rare kind of connection that forms when a woman feels emotionally safe around you. And one of the most powerful ways to create that feeling is through the right kind of compliment. When your words carry warmth instead of pressure, she feels it instantly. When you tell her, I always feel peaceful talking to you, you're not putting her on the spot. You're giving her space to breathe. It's not a compliment meant to spark desire. It's one that builds comfort. And that kind of comfort is what truly draws her closer. Women are constantly navigating spaces where they feel judged, compared, or misunderstood. So when your energy feels gentle, when your words make her feel seen without being exposed, she relaxes. When you say something like, you make people feel safe to be themselves, it tells her that you value not just how she looks or sounds, but the energy she brings into a moment. You're recognizing her emotional warmth, her kindness, her calm. That's the kind of compliment that goes beyond charm. It reaches trust. You see, and real attraction doesn't start with intensity. It starts with ease. When your presence allows her to let her guard down. When your compliments make her feel understood, rather than analyzed, that's when the walls fall naturally. You don't need to say too much. It's the tone, the intention, the authenticity behind your words that creates the difference. A compliment like, I love how easy it is to talk to you, might sound simple, but to her, it means safety. It tells her that she doesn't have to perform to be appreciated. When a woman feels emotionally safe, she associates that feeling with you. She starts to see you as someone who listens, who observes, who values her emotional world as much as her physical one. And that connection, that emotional softness, is what transforms simple attraction into something meaningful. It's what makes her remember your words long after the conversation ends. Women fall for men who know how to create peace in their presence. When your compliments are rooted in gentleness, not game playing, she feels grounded with you. You become the calm in a world that often demands too much of her. And the truth is, once a woman feels emotionally safe around you, she doesn't just like you. She trusts you. And that trust is where real love quietly begins. There's something deeply moving about being noticed for your growth, for the quiet battles you've fought, and the person you've become because of them. When you compliment a woman on her effort, her progress, or her values, you're touching the part of her that's often overlooked, the part that's been becoming. When you tell her, "I really admire how much you've grown," or "It's inspiring how you keep learning and evolving," you're not just praising her, you're honoring her journey. And that kind of compliment hits differently because it recognizes her story, not just her moments. Every woman carries unseen chapters, times she had to rebuild herself, times she doubted her worth, but still showed up anyway. When you acknowledge that strength, she feels deeply understood. You're telling her you see the version of her that's still growing, still learning, still striving to be better. That's not something most people notice. Most just see the outcome, not the process. So when you reflect back her effort, her discipline, her heart, it feels intimate. It feels real. Compliments tied to growth show emotional depth. They tell her you value substance over perfection. When you say, "I love that you don't give up on yourself, even when things get hard," or "You've got a strong spirit. You can tell by the way you handle challenges," you give her a sense of pride in who she is becoming. You're helping her see her own evolution through your eyes, and that creates an emotional bond. Because appreciation for growth isn't fleeting. It's rooted in respect. These kinds of compliments build trust because they prove you're paying attention to what truly matters. You're not fixated on her image. You're inspired by her effort. You notice the subtle ways she's changed, the emotional maturity she's developed, the resilience that shapes how she moves through life. And that recognition tells her something powerful, that you're capable of depth, that your attention isn't shallow. Women fall for the man who sees her, not as a finished picture, but as a beautiful work in progress. When your compliments celebrate her growth instead of her perfection, she feels safe being human around you. She doesn't need to hide her flaws or fears, because you've already shown that you admire her evolution. And that's when real connection begins. When she realizes your words aren't just admiration, they're understanding.